Hello and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today's show is called How to Make Serious Money During Difficult Times. Are you in a difficult financial position now? If so, we've got a strategy that may help you make some very serious money. It won't work for everybody, but for those who do, uh, but for those that it does work, it can accomplish some extraordinary things. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe, like, follow, and comment on the show, as well as to tell you that the show is sponsored by HollywoodIsCalling.com. It's a company which allows you to purchase live calls from real celebrities. They have more than 100 celebrities to choose from. Calls are $19.95 and $29.95. So give them a try. It's HollywoodIsCalling.com. Now let's get started. Now, the current economic situation is very challenging because it has shut down so many businesses that it's affected the livelihood of a lot of people out there. I also believe that it's going to take a month or two for things to return back to normal. We have a strategy that I believe will be able to help some of you generate a serious income to prevent a reoccurrence of this situation in the future. To qualify for this idea, you have to have a home with either a two-car garage or a basement. So this plan involves converting your basement or your garage or both into a two-bedroom apartment. If you do have a large basement, then I would recommend converting it so that you can incorporate at least two bedrooms down there. To do this, you have to hire a contractor or an architect who specializes in something called value engineering. Value engineering is when an architect, a builder, a contractor, or developer remodels a home in a way that keeps costs to an absolute minimum, yet adds as much value as possible so that you can maximize your profits down the road. For example, you may want to incorporate, engineered or laminated flooring rather than hardwood flooring. You may even want to incorporate tile, inexpensive tile that's always very dependable and durable, and hopefully inexpensive. If you're creating a new bathroom down in the basement, then you want to try and create one that costs $3,000 rather than $10,000. And you can do that by going to some of the big box stores and buying, toilets, showers, sinks, mirrors, things that look good but are very inexpensive. One investment that makes an awful lot of sense is to build a separate entranceway for your basement apartments so that your new tenants don't have to enter their apartments through your home. Another thing that you'll want to do is to have your contractor install sound baffling or sound deadening material in the ceiling of the basement apartments so that they can't hear you and you can't hear the noise that they make. Obviously, it goes without saying that you'll also want to create a kitchenette, a closet, and a bathroom down in the basement for your tenants. You'll also have to make sure that if you're going to have people living in your basement, that the heating and cooling are now up to code and appropriate for people living down there. So before you embark on all this, you're going to have to do a cost-benefit analysis. Have a realtor come over and tell them what you're planning on doing, and have them give you an estimate of what they believe your house is currently worth and what it would be worth if you added 2 to 4 apartments. You'll also want to have them give you an estimate of what they think those apartments will rent out for. So once you receive the estimates from your realtor and you get the bids from all the contractors that you've had come down to give you bids on the construction work, I want you to sit down with a calculator or a spreadsheet and compare the cost of this renovation to the amount of money that you will make from rent going forward. Also, the amount of added value that the home will increase by adding 2 or 4 apartments or units to it. If you plan on spending, the next 5 or 10 years living in the home, then the amount of money that you'll realize from the rents going forward on these new apartments, and also the increase in your home's value because of the addition of these bedrooms, it should be very, very attractive. But no matter what, you should sit down with your calculator or a spreadsheet and analyze the numbers so that you have a good idea of what they are going forward. I'm not too concerned because generally speaking, most experts believe that rents will continue to rise over the coming years no matter what. If you're going to be remodeling your garage into a 2 or 3 bedroom unit, then there are some things you'll obviously have to do there as well. You'll have to remodel the interior, the floors, the ceilings, drywall, and also upgrade the heating and cooling so that it's appropriate for human habitation. Obviously, if it's going to be a full-blown rental, then the garage will also have to have a small bathroom and kitchenette. So the next question is, should you rent it out for 12 months at a time to a single individual that you will lease it out to, or should you rent it out on Airbnb? Well, let me give you the pros and cons. Renting your home on Airbnb is usually more desirable because you can make 3 to 4 times as much revenue on Airbnb as you can renting to one individual for 6 to 12 months at a time. Let's say you're renting out an apartment for $1,500 a month, and after 12 months, that should give you $18,000 in revenue. And let's say that you leased out that same apartment on Airbnb, then you could theoretically make around $55,000 in revenue. But there's always a catch. Some cities are now implementing limitations on how many months of the year you can rent your home out on Airbnb for. Oftentimes, they're limiting it to 3 months of the year. That means that if you rented your apartments out for 3 months, you could theoretically make $14,000 for that time period. But when you rented them out to one individual for the remaining 9 months of the year, then that should generate you another $13,500. And when you combine those two rents, that should give you $27,500 in year one in rental income between the 3 months on Airbnb and the 9 months with a conventional lease to one individual. Obviously, if your town doesn't have any Airbnb restrictions, then you can rent it out year-round to Airbnb and make a lot more money. Now, depending on the specific costs, of your remodeling job and the amount of rent you collect, theoretically, you could recover the costs of this remodel in 12 to 24 months. And from that point forward, your rent would be all profit, and the value that your home increased by would also be very significant depending on the number of apartment units that you added. So why would you want to do this? Well, when I saw what happened to the economy, to the jobs, and the stock market during this pandemic, it reaffirmed something for me, and that is how perilous and tenuous everything is. The amount of debt that the government, that companies, and that people in general are taking on is staggering. And who's to say that the next crisis may not be caused by a pandemic? It could be caused by the bursting of this enormous debt bubble that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Having a job is great, but we've all seen how quickly jobs can disappear now. So I think the ability to generate your own income stream that can support you if things go south again is really important. The stock market itself has become an enormous roller coaster that can change directions on a dime. Everybody's seen that recently. If you're continuing to count on the income from your job as your sole income stream going forward, then, is that statistically reliable? I don't know. I would think things are a little less reliable than they were 6 months ago. I believe that investing in yourself is the best strategy. People will always need a place to live, and having rental property is much more stable, I believe, than other investment options. Even if Wall Street crashes again, these apartments will provide you with an income stream that will provide you with a little more stability. Having said that, I want to wish you good luck. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.